to share with you the discovery I made in my own life and in working with thousands of women about how to create your life with a different kind of power, with feminine power. And it's the key to creating a life that is not just successful, but also deeply fulfilling. That, it's a critical shift that we need to make to be able to step into and fulfill on these potentials that we all sense. So I want to share, before we do that, if I may, just my own story of this gap and this paradox and how it lived in me. So a little over 7 years ago, I had no way of making a living that felt true to my soul. I just ended a pretty bad relationship, and I felt creatively frustrated and stuck. And worst of all, I felt somehow alone and abandoned by life. I'd lost all faith. And it was a kind of despair that I would wake up with and I would go to sleep with, and it was with me every minute of every day. And it was very painful and confusing because I was a self-proclaimed powerful woman. I had a master's degree, I had several coaching certifications, and yet I hadn't been able to create a life that reflected the deeper possibility that I sensed. I knew that I had a contribution to make. I knew that I had gifts and talents that were inside of me, but I had no idea how to create a life that fully expressed them. And I knew that I needed to pay attention to this. Now, when I looked more closely at my life, I realized, even though I'd achieved some success, what I'd really been good at was helping other people fulfill on their dreams and their vision. And I had good friends, but I didn't feel like I was really with my tribe. No, I felt like I was giving so much more than I was receiving, that was, the value that I would bring to my relationships. I yearned for someone who was a true partner, a kind of a spiritual partner who I could grow with, who I could evolve with. But I hadn't had a lot of success as a strong woman in relationships, and I felt like, I kind of had resigned myself to being alone because I felt like I couldn't really fulfill on my higher calling and have a happy personal life. And in my clearest moments, I wanted to do something. I sensed that I even wanted to participate or contribute or be a humanitarian. I would say to my friend Malcolm, I feel like I'm meant to be, playing on this larger level and participating in global social change. And he'd say very lovingly, Claire, normally people who are humanitarians have got their own life working and have created some foundation for their success. And I thought, oh, okay. that must not be meant to be either. And like what Christine was sharing, I felt like I was waiting to be discovered because I had all of this possibility inside of me. I felt like something was going to happen, or it should happen, that would enable me to become all that I knew I could be. And I was very confused when those opportunities never came. And so, late one night, by candlelight, I prayed for guidance. I knew I couldn't skip over this and just continue on the course that I was. And I didn't know the answer, but I knew I needed to make a commitment to find out. And so, in the darkest hour of that dark night, surrendered, open. I didn't know what else to do. I just said, help, universe, even though I didn't believe anybody was there listening. And I had a very deep and powerful experience. It was almost like a mystical experience where I felt an inner voice say to me, Claire, you have to have faith in yourself. And you have to believe that all of life is organizing around your success. Even though you don't have any evidence for it, and even though you don't know what to do, begin to make choices and take actions in your life aligned with this sense of faith. So I went to sleep with that thought. And I woke up the next morning and I said, okay, what would I do if I really believed in myself and I believed that life was organizing around my success? And immediately I had access to a very deep intuition that said, go and get an office space. It was kind of crazy. I just moved to LA from Australia and I didn't really know anyone, and I'd given up my coaching practice 5 years earlier. But with my last $1,000, I went and I got an office space. And that's how I met the woman who became my teaching partner, Catherine. And within a year, we started teaching together, created courses and programs. And I met my husband and soulmate, Craig, and the relationship that we share together is beyond anything that I could have imagined. And through that together, we created Evolving Wisdom as just a natural, it was an organic flow on. It wasn't at all something that I even could have imagined. And in the last 3.5 years, we've had over 1 million people in our online seminars and over 60,000 people in our 7-week courses. And I'm blown away. The Inc. 500 thing just happened, and I still kind of can't quite believe it. And we have a magnificent team of 50 people who are some of the most extraordinary people I've worked with in my career at Evolving Wisdom. And I'm really so honored and grateful to say, having created a foundation of success in my own life, I began to fulfill on that dream of really standing for the global empowerment of women and girls, even beyond my own work with women. And in the last year, my dear friend, the late Debbie Ford, and I contributed over $100,000 to the Girl Power Project, which funded a year-long leadership and self-esteem program for over 1,000 girls in Uganda. And as a result of that program, they've now figured out how to scale it, and we've just signed on to support that program, reach 1 million girls in the next 5 years. So I wake up and I feel like I need to pinch myself because this outer life reflects the deeper possibilities that I always sensed, but I couldn't quite see how to get there. So what happened? I began to create my life from feminine power, and it really changed everything. And I know it can change everything for you as well. And so I normally teach this process of awakening feminine power over about 2 months online with a global community of women. So I just want to share with you what I feel. I was thinking, what could I share that's the most significant thing you can do to have an experience today? And it has to do with a total shift in our orientation and way that we are creating. So I want to invite you into an experience of that in just a moment. But I want to ask, how many of you also, in your clearest moments, sense that you have gifts and talents that the world has never seen before and may never see again after you're gone? And that even you have a critical role to play in shaping the future of our world? Keep your hand raised, hands up. Okay. And how many, keep your hands raised, how many of you really know what that looks like, or is going to look like? Right? Okay? So this is significant. We feel, right, what we're yearning, this yearning that's inside of us, this thing that's big that's waking up inside of us. It's not just a desire to accomplish, to get a nice house, to have a nice car, to get married. What's waking up inside of us is an impulse to actualize our higher creative potentials in service to something larger than ourselves. We don't just want to have the relationship our parents had. We want to have the experience of intimacy in an intimate relationship that's beyond anything that our parents or generations past have had. We don't just want to get a job. We want to express who we are, and we want to develop our creativity, get it out of us in a way that impacts others, right? We don't just want to get more status or have more stuff. We want to become ourselves and create a life that reflects who we truly are. So that means, what I'm going to call that is, what we're yearning for is our destiny. This destiny, the greatest possibility of who you are in service to something bigger than yourself. And so the very nature of destiny is that you don't know what it looks like to be fully expressed. So it's very hard to create a strategic plan to get there, right? Or even put it on a vision board to know what you need to manifest, to be able to be actualized. I could never have put Catherine and myself teaching feminine power on a vision board to know that's what my destiny looked like. I could never have imagined evolving wisdom 10 years ago. The internet barely existed in terms of what it would be to have a global online learning community. So the system of power that we've been mastering as women over the last 50 years is actually a masculine system of power. If you look up the word power in the dictionary, it means to do, to act. It's defined as to do, to act, to accomplish, to make things happen, political force, might. It's a power system that's based on logical and linear thinking. So if you have a goal that's predictable or controllable, like you want to build a house, get a college degree, anything that you could know that you can predict, you can create a strategic plan. The masculine power system is the way to go. Problem is, we're no longer yearning to just accomplish goals. Right? What we're pregnant with are these higher possibilities. So you can't get there with just a power system that's based on this kind of analysis and logical linear thinking. We need to have a power system that's based on a much more intuitive, receptive, co-creative, a feminine system. Right? So masculine power is the power to create those things that we can control and predict. Feminine power is the power to create those things that we can't control.